The current theme is prayers of King Satyavrata Muni. And right now, these are the beautiful prayers from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 24, verses 46 to 53. Today, we have a very wonderful devotee, His Grace Radha Rasbihari Prabhu, who will be presenting the verses and sharing his realization. Hare Krishna Prabhu, over to you.
Thank you so much, Mataji. First of all, I'd like to thank His Grace Satyasara Prabhu and Subhadra Mataji, along with Prashant Prabhu and Veena Mataji, for giving me this opportunity to discuss about prayers of King Satyavrata. So, at the onset, I would like to dedicate today's presentation to my Guru Maharaj, whose Vyas Puja is today only, August 27th on Ganesh Chaturthi. So I dedicate this presentation to Guru Maharaj and seek his blessings so that I can do justice to the presentation. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So without taking much time getting into the prayers, the introduction part is like this prayer is by King Satyavrata, who is a great devotee and a ruler and is glorified in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. He offered heartfelt prayers to Lord Matsya, the fish incarnation of Lord Vishnu, during the great deluge. His prayers highlight devotion, surrender, and protection by the Supreme Lord. So there are several prayers. Let me just tell you a little bit about Satyavrat Maharaj. So Satyavrat Maharaj, he appeared during Chakshusha Manu period, who was a great pious ruler. To save him, the Lord appeared as fish incarnation for a second time. First time I'm gonna get to it when Lord appeared as a fish incarnation the first time. So I'll get back to in the next slide. So King Satyavrat later, he became son of sun god, and he was also known as Shraddha Deva. He established as Manu and known as Vaishvashvat Manu. So we'll come in later part of the presentation about it. Then this is the story narrating about how when the Lord appeared as first time as Matsya. So once at the end of previous Kalpa, a demon named Hayagriva wanted to take the Vedic knowledge away from Lord Brahma at the time of annihilation. Therefore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead took the incarnation of fish at the beginning of period of Swayambhuvamani to save the Vedas. So, so this was the second time when he appeared in front of Satyavrat Maharaj. So, little bit about Matsyavatara. To receive the favor of Supreme Personality of Godhead, King Satyavrata engaged in austerity, subsisting only on drinking water. Once while performing the austerity on the bank of Kratamala river and offering oblations to water with the palms in his hand, he found a small fish. A fish appealed to king for protection, asking king to keep him in a safe place. Although king did not know that the small fish was Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, as a king, he gave shelter to the fish and kept him in a water jug. The fish, being Supreme Personality of Godhead, wanted to show his potency to King Satyavrata, and thus he immediately expanded his body in such a way that he could no longer be kept in a jug of water. The king then put the fish in a big well, but the well was also too small. Then king put the fish in a lake, but the lake was also unsuitable. Finally, then king put the fish in a sea, but even the sea could not accommodate him. Thus the king understood that the fish was no one else but the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he requested the Lord to describe his incarnation as a fish. Now, the Lord describes to Satyavrat Maharaj what is the purpose of his appearance in this form. So the personality of Godhead, pleased with the king, informed him that within a week there would be an inundation throughout the universe, and that fish incarnation would protect the king, along with the rishis, herbs, seeds, and other living entities in a boat which would be attached to a fish horn. After saying this, the Lord disappeared. So King Satyavrata offered respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord and continued to meditate upon him. In due course of time, annihilation took place, and the king saw a boat coming near. So this was the background about how Lord Matsya appeared. So after getting aboard, the learned Brahmanas and saintly persons, he offered prayers to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord was situated in everyone's heart and thus taught Satyavrata Maharaj and other saintly persons about the Vedic knowledge from within the core of the heart. King Satyavrata took his next birth as Vaishvaswat Manu, who is described in Bhagavad Gita. Vivaswan Manve Praha, the sun god spoke the science of Bhagavad Gita to his son Manu. Because of being the son of Vivaswan, this Manu was known as Vaivashwat Manu. Now, coming to the selected verses from the prayers, which is appearing in Canto 8 of and chapter 24. So, first, he started describing the Lord and seeking his mercy. Nunam tvam bhagavan sakshat harir narayano avyayah anugrahaya bhutanam dhatse rupam jalaukasham. The translation goes, the Lord, you are certainly the inexhaustible Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, Śrīhari. It is to show your mercy to the living entities that you have now assumed the form of an aquatic. Namaste Purusheshta Sthiti Utpatti Apyayeshwara Bhaktanam na Prapannanam Mukho hi Atmagatir Vibho. O my Lord, Master of creation, maintenance, and annihilation, O best of enjoyers, Lord Vishnu, you are the leader and the destination of surrendered devotees like us. Thus, therefore, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Sarve Leelavataraste Bhutanam Bhut Haitava Gyatum Iksham Mi Adaurupam Yad Artham Bhavatadhritam. All your pastimes and incarnations certainly appear for the welfare of all living entities. Therefore, my Lord, I wish to know the purpose for which you have assumed this form of a fish. This is the main part of the prayer which I am going to elaborate a little bit more, in which Satyavrata Maharaj is describing the features of the Lord. Nate Aravindaksha Padopasarpanam Vrisha Bhavet Sarva Suhat Priyatmanah Yathetaresham Pratagatmana Satam Adidrasho Yad Vapur Adbhutam Hinaha. Translation goes like this: O my Lord, possessing eyes like the petals of a lotus, the worship of demigods who are in the bodily concept of life is fruitless in all respect. But because you are the supreme friend and dear, most super soul of everyone, worship of your lotus feet is never useless. You have therefore manifested your form as a fish. So, in this particular translation, we can find one thing very important, in which Satyavrata Maharaj is saying the worship of demigods, they are also in bodily concept of life. Just like we humans, we are in bodily concept of life. Similarly, the demigods are also in the bodily concept of life. So their worship is fruitless in all respects. And he describes this in great details. And I will take examples from the Shastras and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The purport goes, like the demigods, like Indra, Chandra, and Surya, are all ordinary living entities who are differentiated parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord expands Himself through the living beings. Ex Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. That is the verse from Kathopanishad. And Lord also showed this form to Arjuna when he shows the Virat Roop. In his Virat Roop, what Arjun is saying is all the living entities, including demigods and all the superintendents that are responsible for various activities in this creation, are seen in the body of the Lord. So what he is saying, what Arjun is saying, I can see everyone in their body. Similarly, in this purport also Prabhupada explains that the Supreme Personality of God is manifested himself. You see, different demigods are manifested as differentiated parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And his form is appearing in two different forms, basically called Shvamsa and Vibhinnamsha. His personal Vishnu Tattva forms are all spiritual and are called Shvamsa. You can see the Adi Sesha or Lakshmana or Balaram or Lord Nitai. They're all same. They are all same. All the first expansion of the Lord is Adi Sesha, and then you can see his expansion is Lakshmana or Balaram or Lord Nitai. Some of the Vibhinnamsha forms are spiritual and some are combination of both matter and spirit. The conditioned souls in the material world are different from their external bodies made up of material energy. Thus, the demigods living in the upper planetary systems and the living entities living in the lower planetary systems are of the same nature. So, nonetheless, very important point to understand here is just like us human beings, the demigods also have to change their bodies. Nonetheless, those living as human beings on this planet are sometimes attracted to the worshipping of demigods in the higher planetary systems. Such worship is temporary. As a human being on this planet, they have to change the bodies. Tatha dehantar praptis dhirastatra na muhyate. The living entity known as Indra, Chandra, and Varuna, and even Brahma, and so on, will also have to change their bodies in due course of time. Although their duration might be longer than ours, but they have to also undergo the same process of changing the body. So, men of small intelligence, they worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods, they go to the planets of demigods. But my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. That is the verdict of Bhagavad Gita, where Lord is saying this clearly to Arjun, verse 7.23. Antavattu phalam tesham tad bhavati alpamedasam. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, the men of a small intelligence, they worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Kamastair hritajnana prapadyante anya devataha. Those who do not know the position of demigods are inclined to worship the demigods for some material purpose. But the results of such worship is never permanent. Consequently, here it is said, Yathe teresham prathak atmanam satam padoparshanam mrisha bhavet. In other words, if one is to worship someone else, he must worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then this worship will never be fruitless. And important part is even a small effort in this process is not going to be waste. Swalpam api yasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even slight attempt to the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a permanent asset. Therefore, as recommended in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Tyaktva swadharmam charanan bhujam harehe. One should take the worship of the lotus feet of Lord Hari. Even if this means giving up so-called occupational duties assigned because of the particular body one has accepted. Because worship in terms of the body is temporary, it does not bear any permanent fruits. But the worship to the Supreme Personality of Godhead gives immense benefits. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear, from Bhagavad Gita 2.40. And finally, after reciting the prayers, so Satyavat Maharaj is saying, Anyadi avidyo avidyopahatatma samvidas san mula samsar parishramatara yadrakshayo shruta yaman nuyu vimuktido nah paramo gurur bhavan. The king said, by the grace of the Lord, those who have lost their self knowledge since time immemorial, and who, because of this ignorance, are involved in a material conditional life full of miseries, obtain the chance to meet Lord's devotee. I accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the Supreme Spiritual Master. So, this part is very, very significant because we may not be able to see face to face Lord, but his devotees are available. We can take shelter of the devotees of the Lord. We can take the shelters of the acharyas who are coming in the parampara system, and we can get the same knowledge which has been directly imparted by the Lord, and thus we can accept the Lord or the devotees and get the most important knowledge about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, so the essence of this prayer is that we must completely surrender to the lotus feet of the Lord, recognize Lord as the protector of the devotees, and acknowledge the Lord's supreme role as creator, maintainer, and destroyer. Deep faith in Lord's compassion and guidance is a must. What is the significance? This demonstrates how a true devotee faces calamities with faith. What can be more calamity? There is complete devastation, complete inundation is going on, and Satyavrata Maharaj has firm faith in the Lord and Lord's potencies. This symbolizes Lord's protection over the surrendered souls. This also teaches the surrender, humility, and trust in divine will. And it is very relevant for the spiritual seekers in all the ages. To conclude this prayer, the prayer of King Satyavrata illustrates the eternal principle of bhakti or devotion. They remind us that in times of difficulty, one should take complete refuge in the Lord. And Śrīmad Bhāgavatam preserves this beautiful dialogue as a guide for all humanity. Thank you all so much for your time and patience. And if there are any mistakes, please forgive me. And if there is something good, it is all from the acharyas and purport from Srila Prabhupada. Please accept it as it is. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranams to everyone.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. That was a wonderful presentation. Uh, Thank you very much, Prabhu. You started with giving the context of the prayers, like what happened to King Satyavrata, like why these prayers were recited, what's the background. And King Satyavrata was in a very difficult position, and he really prayed to the Lord, asking for protection. And you picked up the verse, one of the verses, and explained to us about Swa-amsha and Vibhinamsha of the Lord. How Swa-amsha is the same and Vibhinamsha, as the name says, it's different. And nicely you explained about demigods and what happens, who are demigods, what happens when we worship demigods, how the results are temporary versus when we worship Supreme Lord, how it is permanent. And when we worship Supreme Lord, even a little bit, if we do, that will continue for the next life, right? So we always say we carry the Sukriti from the past life. And we have seen some devotees, they just pick up, they just come and then suddenly they pick up so much. So definitely that's their past life that they have done, the bhakti they have done, right, Prabhu? That was the thought which came into my mind when you're explaining. And you explained this very nicely with Shastras. And then you gave very nice lessons that we learn from these prayers. And the point that I would like to highlight is that complete surrender to the Lord is the key. And that is also the main theme of Bhagavad Gita that we say, right? Sarva dharman parityaja. Surrender to the Lord is what is the most important, and Lord protects to those surrendered souls. So
Yes.
very nice presentation, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Beautiful pictures you have put and created the presentation. Thank you for your service, Prabhu. Thank you,
Thank you.
devotees, for joining the Bhagavatsanga program today. I know we were on a break for Janmashtami and we resumed from today. So really appreciate all of you all joining today. With that, we conclude the program. And a quick reminder, we have Radhashtami celebration this Sunday, August 31st. It will be at 10:30 a.m. in the temple. Please join. With that, we conclude. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.